Hello everyone and welcome back to the Belgian Beer Brothers channel. Today is day 4 of the Brussels Beer Project Advent calendar. And yeah, what can I say? We had 3 good beers already. Let's dive right in. It's always kind of a search here. I already found a 5 for tomorrow. And here we go, number 4. It's one on top, so it'll be a bit harder again. Oh, no. It is a Brussels Beer Project native one again. And I see a bit of residue in the bottle. So it might be a shame that I keep them laying down. Let's see what it is. I already love this this label. It's a nice black and white, very simple label. I'm not a big fan of the very colorful labels, but I do love the black and white one here, and it's a SESSN OAT IPA, 3.7% ABV. Well, I do have some doubts with this, for the simple reason that I'm always looking for a good alcohol-free or low alcohol beer, and the most session IPAs that I have tasted just don't really do it for me. For example, the Vedette Session IPA, which was coincidentally also 3.7, even got discontinued. There are a few ways to make a session beer or a low alcohol beer, and one way is just using less malt, or stopping the fermentation early, so you have a low ABV beer. Another way is distilling, vacuum distilling the beer. Another way is filtering it through a very fine porous filter, so it takes out a part of the alcohol. Either way, often the taking out alcohol part, doesn't matter how you do it, it leaves an aftertaste for some reason. Now, on the other hand, if you're gonna make a low alcohol or non-alcoholic beer, well, make it an IPA, because you have a lot of aromas, a lot of hop flavors to mask that aftertaste. Let's look further on the label here. Beer Project is about pushing taste to new boundaries and pushing ourselves out of status quo. Experimenting is key to our DNA, and the point is to share the fun of playing with beer. I do believe they have this slogan, get out of the abbey and into the playground or something. I really like the urban style of Brussels Beer Project. It says here it's a SESSN OAT IPA. It has Citra Spectrum and Citra Incognito hops. Now I want to get into that. Citra is a quite aggressive tasting, citrusy, nice hop. I like it. We all know the Duvel triple hop Citra. It's a very widely used hop as well, but the Spectrum and the Incognito kinds are, I do believe, and don't pin me down on this because I'm not that into this part, but I do believe these are new techniques of hop extracts. So you can use a lot less in quantity, but you still get all the alpha acids and all the aromas out of it. And then it also has Mosaic. Well, we already know Mosaic as a rather fruity, soft hop, and the yellow sub, which is quite complementary with the Mosaic. Remember, we did have the yellow sub in the day 1 CMYK beer. Rather fruity as well, rather soft, so yeah, I should like this. When it comes to grains, I see Maris Otter, Pilsner malt, wheat malt, oat flakes, and dexterin malt. Yeah, honestly, this is just my opinion, but if you're gonna make a session beer, a low alcohol beer, it's gonna lose a bit of its flavor, a bit of its body, a bit of its mouthfeel. And one way of compensating for that is, for example, using wheat instead of barley. And even oat flakes, yeah, I see this happening. It gives a bit more body, a bit more texture to the beer. So yeah, they really went all out to make this happen. It has verdant yeast. Can't tell you anything about that because that's just not my area of expertise, if I ever have any. Yeah, it looks quite hazy. I do see that the residue is coming down a bit. Nonetheless, I will be having some in the glass. But hey, why not? Okay, as usual, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So let's oh yeah, first thing that comes into the nose is the citra aromas. Like I said, rather aggressive, rather, yeah, citrusy, as the name implies. Ooh, very, very, very light, extremely light, very carbonated. I can even hear the bubbles. Nice head of foam. Rather big bubble, so it's gonna disappear quickly. It's very light, very crisp, quite hazy, but as I said, there's a lot of residue in the bottle. And well, I didn't put it up right. On the other hand, I am one of those guys that likes to have a bit of yeast, a bit of extra in the glass. Of course not when it's flaking, but if it's fresh yeast like this, I absolutely don't mind. It smells rather thin. It's also very yellowy, very crispy, hazy, yellow, more yellow than gold. Not very tingly in the nose, which you would expect from a low alcohol beer. And I do get that hint of yeah, that little extra aroma, that little extra smell that I told you about before, of the low alcohol story. Nonetheless, let's just taste it. We still have a nice centimeter of foam on there. So it dropped rather quickly, but still has a nice layer that keeps the air from our beer. Yeah. Indeed, I do get that aftertaste, but just a little bit. It's a rather watery, thin beer. A bit thinner in the mouthfeel, which is a shame because I like to have a full-bodied beer. Not necessarily bad. Still like the taste. Now I must say, after this first tiny bit, I'm not really going out in a bar and ordering this. But it's absolutely not a bad beer. It's not my preference, but that's a whole other thing. I do get a lot of the citra aromas. It's definitely the stronger hop. And well, I can't make out whether it's the yellow sap or the mosaic. I do have this tiny fruity aftertaste, but not to say it's that special altogether. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, just like most of the SESSN IPAs or SESSN beers that I already tasted, this one just doesn't do it for me. It's technically not a bad beer, even quite a good beer. Obviously they put a lot of work in it, but yeah, it's just not my taste, not my style. I'd rather have a full-bodied, tasty, full beer, maybe, yeah, maybe with more alcohol then. And honestly, I only have tasted like one alcohol-free beer that I really liked. It was a it was a Dutch beer, not a Belgian one. So if you want to know, it's a Playground by Van der Streek in Utrecht. But yeah, nonetheless, I'm not gonna throw this down the sink. I am gonna finish it. I'm gonna take my time for this, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. So as usual, if you like this, maybe subscribe if you want to see the rest of the calendar, if you want to see, or if you're curious what I'm gonna do next year. And yeah, if you have anything to say, any tips, any hints, maybe you got some tips for a good low alcohol beer, please let me know in the comments, and I'll be more than glad to look those up and taste them. Cheers, guys.